It's Patio Side Chats with Fernando Martinez from Chaparral Pavers with tips and advice on landscaping and gardening. Here's Fernando Martinez.
Yes, indeed. Hello and welcome. Welcome to this edition of Patio Side Chats here with Chaparral. And today's topic, I have actually a few topics here. I wanted to kind of describe to you what it's like to be a contractor and on the other end of that phone call when you're wanting an estimate and how that kind of process works, what it feels like, what to expect, how to prepare yourself as a consumer. I am also lucky enough to be on both sides of the aisle as far as being a consumer, and I've hired contractors to work on my house, and I am a contractor, and so wanted to kind of give you some insight on how that process goes from when you are wanting to get a job done, whatever it may be, and this goes, of course, across trades, to making that phone call, trying to get a contractor to come out for an estimate, how that whole process feels and goes from both sides, and, you know, better prepare you for what to expect and, you know, how to really get the most out of that estimate phase, or really, you know, decide, because ultimately you're going to have to decide who you want to work with, or, you know, if the price is going to be way higher than you thought, or, you know, whatever. So anyway, I wanted to go over that. And I say that because it happens a lot. We never really think, and even me being in the industry, you never think it's going to be as much as it ends up being for some reason, and have unrealistic expectations. But I wanted to go over that and how to kind of get ourselves, and not everybody, you know, there's definitely exceptions, but that seems to be the majority of us, like I said, including myself. And then I also wanted to talk about getting out in your garden and out in your landscape and kind of using those blooms and those flowers and bringing them inside and enjoying them as cut flowers. So I wanted to talk about that and see if you already have cut flowers in your yard, when to cut them, kind of how to cut them and bring them in, use them in vases as cut flowers in the house. Which types of plants are better than others and which ones last. And I would love if you would take the project on and kind of see for yourself which ones, as you walk through your garden, would make good cut flowers, and then do an experiment of bringing them inside and kind of seeing, you know, how long these things last. And the goal is to have, you know, the longest lasting flowers in the vase, so you can enjoy them in the house. And so I wanted to talk about that, and then also fertilizing and watering. I have some ideas on that and some experiences this week, and I wanted to go over that with you. So let's dive right on into it and get rolling on being a contractor and being a consumer, and understanding how that bidding process works. Of when you call, you make that call to get that contractor to come over and give you a bid or an estimate, or describe to them what it is that you want done, so that you can get a price and can get your project, you know, done if that's what you want to do. And so I wanted to start out by thinking about the initial phone call. So before you even make the phone call as to any contractors, you know, I think probably the worst way you could do it is just get an idea. Hey, I'd like to do this project. You know, I want to fix up this section of the yard, or, you know, part of my house, or whatever it is. And just pick up the phone and start calling people. And I think won't have probably as good of an experience as you could if you had do a little research first and kind of get a feel for what products are out there, what types of things, ideas that you might want to do. And you don't have to have all the ideas, because the contractors, you know, the consumers rely a lot on us as contractors for ideas and materials and what to do. But I'm just talking generally, you know, to get because if it's too wide open, I feel personally that the estimates don't go as well when they're really just, I have no idea what I want. You're the contractor, you tell me, and this is the estimate, you know, and I'm thinking, well, how do I give these people a price when I really, you know, have no idea what they want? And the other aspect is of the budget. It's kind of hard to, you know, give somebody a price for something when it can be, you know, a wide range of prices. It's better to have an idea of how much you want to spend, and a pretty good idea of at least what you want to accomplish generally, even if it's how an area is going to feel. You know, I'd like a lot when we're appealing to the emotions of how a space feels, because that to me is the most important thing. You know, all the little nuts and bolts and choices of colors and styles and different materials and textures. It doesn't really, those are just the finite details. Really, at the end of the day, it's when you go out to use that space, or is it even usable, at all? Let's say you take an area of a yard that's unusable, weeds, overgrown, and you think, oh, I want to put a seating area out there and I want to feel relaxed. And, I've got a budget of, $10,000 or $5,000 or $50,000, who knows? But if those types of estimates are much easier to really relate to the client and get an understanding of what they want. And they don't have to tell me, oh, I want, Euro cobble pavers from Airval with this border. All that stuff doesn't really, or these color tones, sienna brown with the dark brown. It's less important on those types of things. So don't worry too much about the picking out of materials and colors and things before you make the phone call. But all I'm saying is have an idea of what it is that you want to do. And if it's, let's say, a seating area, type in seating area on the internet and see what comes up, and look at pictures, and then type in your zip code and say pricing for, this material. Let's say it's pavers, and, even, you could get a tape measure and kind of go out there and kind of measure the area. I'm not saying everybody has to, measure the area before the estimate, but again, you rely on the contractor to come out and do this measuring. But if you had, just to give yourself an idea of what the price would be, I mean, figuring out square feet is pretty simple. It's length times width. So if it's 10 feet by 10 feet, it would be 100 square feet, and you can kind of figure out from there. It's so if you can do some basic math, you'll be able to figure out how to say, okay, this area, 100 square feet, pavers, Central Coast of California, or like I said, zip code, and you'll see what kind of the pricing is. Say, oh, wow, okay, it's going to cost, this much for that. Maybe you want a fire pit. Well, you figure the gas lines are going to have to be run, and have some semblance of a realistic budget of what you would want to spend. And then make the phone call and make that initial contact. And you can answer some questions over the phone. And it's kind of, it saves everybody time, I think, if you can sort of interview the contractor on the phone. And is this what you do? Or is this your expertise? Or here's kind of what I'm thinking. What do you think? Is it worth scheduling an estimate rather than scheduling the estimate, coming home early from work, getting in there and trying to figure out, this is the wrong contractor for the job or whatever it might be. So, and, you got to remember, like, you're calling a company that, is it the owner is the one answering the phone? Is he out in the field, meeting with clients and doing estimates? And, if they don't answer the phone right away, it could mean that they're busy. You leave a message. If they don't call back in a certain length of time, whatever, maybe they're too busy. And if you need something done quickly, that might not be, the right contractor for you. If they call back within a day or a few days or whatever, and, you have an idea of what you want to do, and there's things like this is kind of the right style of work that we do, and it's a good fit, then schedule the estimate. And you can check all the reviews online either before the estimate and get an idea of who you would want to work with and just get bids from those contractors, or you can call and get the bids and then check the reviews online. Either way, I think on that probably works. And remember, as much as you're interviewing the contractors are also interviewing you for a potential job and how to price that job, because you want a price from them. You want the price to be the best that it can be. And I think the more organized you are, the easier it is for them to give you a price for exactly what you want. If you're getting multiple bids from multiple contractors, it's the clearer you are on what the project is and what you want, the easier it is going to be to compare those prices. Otherwise, you're getting 3 different opinions, which is probably going to happen anyway, but you can keep that down to a minimum instead of having it really be wild all over, and it just makes it harder for you to make a decision. Also, your time frame, have a time frame in mind, unless you're just completely wide open. I think sometimes we think we are wide open. It's like, oh, whenever you can get to it. But really, all of us have some semblance of what a reasonable time frame would be. And you don't want to give a contractor too much leeway either and just say, oh, just whenever, just if somebody else comes along and they say they're in a hurry, do their job first and just push mine to the back. I don't think anyone would, think like that. So have some time frame, even if it's arbitrary or artificial, and that, it's just to have an idea of when, and then you're getting a commitment from them as to when it would happen. And then, of course, you can be flexible with that as, things change. It's difficult as a contractor to stay 100% on the scheduling of how long a job's going to take, because there's always changes and things come up and clients do additional work and it pushes out. I try to leave room in that for my schedule. I try to give people realistic start dates as to when we would actually start their job, and not promise, oh, we'll be here in a couple weeks, and then they send one guy and they string it out because they really don't have a full crew to be able to go there that quickly. So, definitely follow up, check their contractor's license. They should be forwarding you all their insurance information and make sure it's a legitimate company. So you've got a reasonable assurance that the job's going to work out for you and you're going to get a good job done. So, okay, let's talk about cut flowers. We'll shift gears here. I'm kind of excited to talk about this. As a favorite topic of mine, and I really enjoy my landscape in my yard and all my shrubs and flowers and blooms, even more inside the house in a vase. It's up close. I have a vase in my bathroom in between the double sinks, and I'm brushing my teeth in the morning and I'm looking at these flowers, and sometimes we'll put a vase in the center island of the kitchen or on the table when we're eating dinner or above the TV, and you can just really, there's areas of, beauty and the blooms and bringing the outside in is just so fun. It really is something that I have these rose bushes across. I know on previous shows I've talked about my rose bushes that I have across our way in our planter against our fence in our front yard. I have, 20 something roses, bushes or whatever. And in between them, I have bulbs that I've planted. And I do want to talk about bulbs too, because I think we have a tendency to forget about them because we don't see them all the time in the nurseries, and you can't really buy them in containers as a landscape shrub. But I really just, I can see the bushes, when I come home, when I'm driving home, I look over there, I can see the roses. If I'm sitting at my table, I can look out the window and see all the flowers blooming over there. But the experience of having them in a vase up close is absolutely amazing. I can see the details in the flowers. I can see the undersides of the petals are a slightly different color or white, and then there's red on the other. We have these amazing bulbs that are blooming right now. My wife had gone out there and cut some stems off and put it in the vase in our bathroom. And they're the most interesting, I don't even know what the name of this bulb is, some bizarre bulb that I bought one time in Santa Barbara a long time ago. And what's kind of neat is I have this memory of planting those bulbs with my son. And now, it was years ago, and the ones that made it, and the other ones are, who knows what happened to them. But this one in particular has gotten really big this year. It's just gotten huge, and there's so many stems. There must be 10, 12 stems of flowers coming off of this, bulb-like bush. It's got these long, grassy-like leaves. And what's cool about bulbs is they go away. They'll totally finish, and you'll just see the dirt, and it seems like there's nothing there, and that bulb is living underground. And then every year it comes up like this new plant out of the soil. They're absolutely amazing. So if you know about bulbs and you have bulbs in your yard, great. If you don't know about them or you haven't planted any in your yard, definitely look it up, look into it. Consider, landscaping with bulbs, even pots. Pots are great for bulbs, and it's a little strange when you plant them because you're looking at the dirt and there's nothing there. So what I do is when I do them in containers is you can use annuals and plant them on top, and they'll last about 6-8 months or whatever. And sometimes if you get the right ones, they'll reseed, kind of come up again on their own anyway. And then when the annuals are kind of finished, the bulbs will come up in between them, and that way at least there's something in the pot. Or you could even do just rock, decorative rock or colored rock. But I wanted to mention the cut flowers aspect of it because to me it's something that either if you have it available in your yard, and I wanted to give you that reminder today to go out there and cut them and bring them in and just enjoy them. It will really be a completely different experience of those blooms when they're in vases and close up, and just knowing that out in my yard, there's that bush. And when you drive by it and you see it, you see it differently. Like when I look at that rose with the white on the undersides of the leaves, I can see it now. I hadn't really noticed it before, but having it in a vase and seeing it up close was really cool and a neat experience. So I want you guys to have that experience as well. So if you are in the planning stages of doing a new landscaping project, or you're planning on going to the nursery and picking out some plants, think about the cut flower aspect of that plant and decide, do I have some cut flowers in my design? And if you don't, definitely roses aren't the only one. Alstroemeria, Peruvian lily is a really good flowering almost year-round, great in cut flower arrangements. Gerber daisies. I mean, the list goes on and on. Stargazers are also bulbs, so there are a lot of bulbs that make great cut flowers. What else? You can just kind of look, even if you went to the florist and you see, and we've all bought floral arrangements at some point, think about the types of flowers that are in there and possibly growing that bush. Ask the florist what the name is, or look it up online and see what you can find out. We could do a whole show just on cut flowers. It'd be fun, but I just briefly wanted to inspire you today to go out there, pick some flowers when you get home, cut them off, and prune the bush a little bit while you're there, and take a look at it, and look down, make sure the drip's working good, or the sprinklers or whatever, and it kind of puts you in tune also, and it motivates you to go out there and kind of keep things cleaned up and pruned. But one more thing I wanted to say about it was, when you're cutting for cut flowers, don't cut the ones that are already almost finished. They'll be really short in the vase, and just all the petals will drop off, and it won't be that good of an experience. So try to get the ones that are still either just opening or even still closed. You can go the other way where it's too early and they're just buds and they might not open. But you want to get that kind of timing of when you prune it and get just the bud that's opening, barely, is really the ideal. I think that's what you're shooting for, when it's just, you can start to see the petals coming out. And cut plenty of stem so it's nice and long, and so you can get it down in the vase, and it can, really have enough water and nutrients to survive, in the vase for a while. Also, what's kind of cool is you can use a single rosebud floating. And you've seen that in restaurants where they just take a small vase, kind of a little wider at the top, enough to fit, and the stem is really short in that case. And you'd be surprised how long that'll last. I keep talking about roses, but I love roses. And one of the reasons is they make awesome cut flowers, and they last really long in the vase. So when we come back, I want to talk about fertilizing and watering, and an experience I've had with that. And if you have any questions or want to check us out online, of course, I love to come home.com. And if you want to hear this show or any other of our shows, you can catch us on YouTube, Chaparral Pavers. And we've got all the radio shows there for you to listen to at your leisure. Okay, we'll see you on the other side of the break.
You're listening to Patio Side Chats with Fernando Martinez from Chaparral Pavers on California's Central Coast. Here on 1240 AM and 99.5 FM, KSMA.
Chaparral Pavers. I love to come home.com. Imagine the flickering flames and warmth of a fire pit, soothing sounds of trickling water, decorative lighting, highlighting your landscape at dusk. Driveways and patios, not only functional, but a work of art. This is what Chaparral Pavers does for your landscape lifestyle. You'll love to come home. Chaparral Pavers. Visit us now at ilovetoComeHome.com. shaperoutpavers.com.
If you're thinking about installing a new paver patio or paver driveway, check out Chaparral Pavers online at ilovetocomehome.com. Serving the Central Coast since 2001, Chaparral Pavers will work with you to get it right and complete the job to your specifications, as customer service is king at Chaparral Pavers. Paver driveways are stylish and durable and guaranteed to never crack. If your old concrete driveway or entryway is a hazardous cracking mess, it's time to call Chaparral Pavers. Go to their website, ilovetocomehome.com. You'll find all the information you need. Check out photographs of past installations and reviews from Central Coast residents who have used Chaparral Pavers. And don't forget, all installations are guaranteed for the life of your home. So check out Chaparral Pavers online at ilovetocomehome.com. Chaparral Pavers, they'll make you love to come home. Now, back to Patio Side Chats with Fernando Martinez from Chaparral Pavers on KSMA.
And we're back. Okay, we are talking about estimating, getting a contractor to come out and give you an estimate for your job, and doing a little bit of research ahead of time and getting an idea of what things cost, getting a budget set up for yourself, checking out these potential contractors online for ones that you would want to work with, setting a time frame for yourself and for them, and being pretty clear on at least how you want an area to feel or the overall kind of scope of the project. I love when the potential clients come out and they have a list of here's what I want, and it doesn't have to be very specific. It's just got to be general, and then you want to kind of see what their ideas are and what materials they're going to choose. But having that ready and you being prepared before you get an estimate and before the contractor comes out, it's going to definitely be beneficial for you and the contractor, and it's going to make the process much easier to decipher who you want to work with, compare prices across the board from one to the next, and really have you in a best position possible to have a great experience, because none of us want to hire somebody, including myself, and then have a bad experience of it didn't work out, or they didn't hear what I said, or I didn't think it was going to be this, or I didn't think it was going to cost that much. And so it really gets a lot of that, down to minimum. So do your research, be ready, and definitely good luck, with your projects out there. So we were also talking about cut flowers and bringing in and using your landscaping and your shrubs and your blooms to the best that they can be, and really, really brighten your day and help you enjoy your yard inside your house in vases. It's absolutely my favorite thing about the experience with the yard, going out there pruning and cutting them and bringing them inside the house and enjoying them up close and seeing them go through that process of from the buds to opening up to finishing, and, throwing them out, pouring the water out, and doing it all over again with the next set of blooms and things that are coming in. So even think about this during the planning phase of your landscaping, is to make sure it includes something in the garden that would be good for cut flowers. And like I said before, if you're not sure, check out the florist. And when you're buying cut flower arrangements, even at the grocery stores or whatever, just take note, or even without buying them, just look at those bins and look at the types of flowers that are in there and see if you can't get a shrub of that variety and plant it in the ground, or a bulb. Like I was saying, I love bulbs. There's so many of them, and all of them make great flowers and awesome cut flowers. So very cool, very fun. Wanted to inspire you to go out in your garden and cut some stems in today and bring them in to your house and enjoy them up close. I think you'll really thank me for it. So try that. Now, what I want to get into to kind of finish the show off here is fertilizing and watering, two obviously very important things. And I think they're really one of the keys to when you do a brand new landscaping project and you want to know, like everybody always asks me, how do I take care of it? I feel a little bit of hesitation, not every time, but a lot of when we're leaving the job, they're kind of like, okay, you're on your own, have fun with it, enjoy it. But they want to feel like they're going to know how to take care of it. And the fertilizing and watering is absolutely huge. There's just no way for me to say, even personally, to one client at their house what their watering schedule is going to be, because everything changes so dramatically with the weather, with the wind, whether it's sloped or not sloped, even the soil, especially the soil types, but there can be multiple soil types on one yard. It's absolutely amazing to me of how little one person could water and how much another person can water, and having great results. I mean, even lawns, people tell me how one day a week or 2 days a week, and the lawn's green as can be, and then other people watering every single day and their lawn's green. So it's just, it's an individual thing, I think, in watering, but what's more is to really see how the plants are doing, how they're responding to the watering schedule that you're doing, and changing it often. I always, when I talk about this subject a lot, and to clients and on this radio show, is it's always just 3 to 4 times a year. You should be checking it during, weather fluctuations, and then seasons and all these, but really the more you do it, the better you're going to be at it, and the better the plants are going to be. So you could be adjusting the watering every week, every other week if you wanted to, and if you were really into it. And I think those are the clients, that's the experience that I had recently this week, is I had gone back to answer some questions for this client, and the yard was absolutely beautiful. The plants were doing phenomenal. And I asked her, like, what are you feeding and how are you watering? And she was definitely fertilizing very different answer than what I've, gotten a lot of. And the clock was off for 3 weeks with no watering, and then she had turned it back on. And so really the point is to adjust the watering a lot, be consistent with the fertilizing, and you will have absolutely dynamite results with the plants. Go by what the plants are doing. Let them tell you more than what I tell you or anybody tells you. The plants will tell you what they want. So that is the recipe for success. Check us out on ilovetoComeHome.com and Chaparral Pavers on YouTube if you want to listen to any of these radio shows. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next week right here on Patio Side Chats.
This has been Patio Side Chats with Fernando Martinez from Chaparral Pavers. Go to ilovetoComeHome.com to find out more, or call 805-588-6917. And be sure and tune in next week at this same time for Patio Side Chats here on KSMA.